Hey, what's up, beautiful Jellyfish? It's Tracy. We're racing against the clock a little bit because Pretty Little Liars comes on in like 20 minutes, and if I miss it, we can't miss Pretty Little Liars. It's very important. So, today I'm going to be doing a deck tech for you guys, and this is an Esper mid-range control kind of sort of weird deck, and I had actually a lot of help with this, which was super awesome. And I was like asking this guy, and I was like, hey, like, not like this guy, like some random guy, that'd be, hey, random guy off the street, help me with this deck tech. But I kind of started out, and this was totally a different build than from what I originally had kind of made it out to be, but I'm pretty happy with this. If you've never seen one of these deck techs before that I've done, this is a mock deck tech. So basically what it is, like, make this deck entirely for the purpose of filming this video. So I'm not actually playing with this deck, I'm not buying this deck. There also may be things that you can probably, there are also things that you, sorry, I hate it, Facebook always says that it has like those notifications, like, and it pops up and I get really distracted because I see it, I'm like, oh, and Facebook's like, you have 20 notifications, Tracy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, stop, okay, so basically, I am not playing with this deck, and I have not tested this deck out. I literally just brewed this deck up. Again, I had actually a lot of help with it, and I'll totally give credit where credit is due. However, a lot of the base for this deck was me, and I do crazy things. I'm just totally going to say that if you're looking for cookie cutter mold deck, if you're looking for something that you've seen a million times, you're in the wrong place, honey. I'm just going to throw that out there. So, some comments you may be like, hey, why don't you try this or whatever. I'm just throwing it out there. I appreciate those comments, but I'm not changing it, like, I'm not building it, like, there's no reason. It's just to show you guys some other options and things you can do. Another reason I really like to be spicy is because it throws off your opponent, and I hate really net decking. I hate taking a list. I have to make things my own. It's just how I operate. I always do jank things. It's my style. So let's talk about this really sweet list. I love Esper. I think it's such a fun color combination. And I totally think that it's neglected. So let's do this and we'll see how fast we can get through this. And if I have time, I'll talk about the sideboard. We'll see. Or count your blessings, we'll see. Okay, let's talk first about the mana base. And I don't like to get that much into the mana base because it's pretty basic. So the deck list will be listed down below, definitely check it out. One card I kind of want to note specifically from this thing, because like everything else is like basic, like lands, like, you know, you have like your fetch lands, your shock lands, your basics. Like, I don't do anything fancy in terms of that. Again, check it out if you want to know down below. But if you alter this, you're going to need to alter the mana base, so my numbers don't really matter for the purpose of that. But one thing I would say that I definitely think you need is if you're running blue and black in Modern, you really need to be running Creeping Tar Pits. I'm currently running 2. Oh, I should say I'm doing 23 lands. 23 is kind of my sweet spot, like 17. It's just like a really good number. Like, I really like the number 23. I'm really weird. It's like, I feel like most people like even numbers, but for mana bases, I like odd numbers. Is that weird? I feel like that's weird. But I feel like 23 is just a good number. So I do 2 Creeping Tar Pits. This card's super important. It's just a really good land. Like, I have this in Grixis control, and it's just fantastic. It's very aggressive, really great, you know, unblockable creature, really, really good for the mid-range type of situation, and I'm a huge fan of it. I mean, if you want to make this more of a control deck, you can totally add Celestial Colonnade, which I also am a huge fan of. This mana base is a little bit lower than that, so I definitely wanted to add Creeping Tar Pits. Also, this card's like unblockable, and it's just fantastic. Like, card's just everything, so yeah. Alright, let's talk about sorceries. So I have 14, and first we have 3 Inquisition of Kozilek's, and while we're talking about Inquisition, I'm gonna sneak in and talk about Thoughtseize, because I always talk about them, you know, as one. Inquisition's really, really fantastic. It hits a ton of stuff. I'm not gonna dwell on this so much because any Modern deck that I have, literally, I always favor Inquisition and Thoughtseize over counterspells. Always, always, always. I find they're more effective, they're more efficient, I have access to information, I know what's going on in their hand. Counterspell is just a counterspell, and I've already talked about how terrible counterspells are in Modern. If you want to check out my rant on that, list it in the down bar below if I remember. But yeah, so 3 Inquisitions, 3 Thoughtseizes, they're both really good. You can do whatever mix you want. You want 4 and 2, go for it. You want to do 5, I think 5 is fine. 7 to me, in my opinion, is too much. I don't like 7-hand disruption spells. However, if you're doing this with collective brutalities, I totally think you should go for that because that's sweet. I just really like Inquisition, and I really like Thoughtseize. I don't have a favor one towards the other. I think they're both good in both situations, and I personally like an even mix of them. That's just how I like it, but you can do whatever you want. Then we have 4 of Lingering Souls. Oh, this card is so good. Card is really good. It's a very aggressive card, but it also is a very defensive card. So I run 4 because it's just really, really good. There's also a lot of graveyard stuff going on in this deck, and not as much like discard, but Lingering Souls is kind of one of those cards like you want to cast, and then you like want to you don't really want to just like discard it. You know, you want like the opportunity to like cast it, unless you like don't have white mana or you don't have 3 mana, which that's like a good situation where if you do have, there is a little bit of discard in here. Is there discard in here where I discard? No, there isn't. But that's actually a really interesting synergy that you could potentially work out, but probably not an issue, whatever. 4 Lingering Souls cards is really good. Flying, fantastic card. 4 of Serum Visions. Funny story, when I actually built this, I forgot to put Serum Visions in here, which is really funny. I haven't done one of these mock deck techs in a really long time, and I totally forgot everything about blue, pretty much. I was like, how do magic cards work? Like, I just forget about cards, like, sometimes. But it's totally an essential card. Card's really awful, we all know this. We wish we could play things like that weren't Serum Visions, like Ponder or something, but those are stupid and would break the format, probably. But yeah, it's just a good card, so Serum Visions. 4 of those, importante. So 14 sorceries. Let's talk about instants. 1 of Condemn. Really like this card. Really like this card a lot. Ran this card when I had blue-white control and like every version I think of that deck that I had, I definitely threw this card in there. So it's just a 1 of in this deck. You can totally play around with like removal. I mean, you can play around with like anything. You don't have to take anything from this, but if you want to, that's sweet. I like that. I appreciate that. Card's like really good. I mean, they gain a little bit of life. You don't care. You're playing this mid-range strategy, you're going to take your life away very soon. You don't care. Alright, so my mouse just stopped working, like my mouse on my computer, and I want to touch it and have like my actual mouse, like my like this mouse, like on, it's just like really bothering me. Okay, then we have 2 of a Fatal Push. I'm going to actually talk about some synergies with Fatal Push a little bit earlier on, but I really like this card. I think this card really sweet. You know, the Revolt, it's just 1 mana and you just destroy something. It works in a variety of decks. It's kind of one of those cards that's kind of hard to take out for sideboard because you're probably just going to keep it in there all the time. It's just a super important card. I am kind of sad I haven't gotten the chance to play with it yet personally, but I've other people's opinions. They just say this card's stupid, and I totally agree. Really important card in the format, so definitely something to look out for. I run 2 in this build, but you can totally up it to 3 if you don't like Condemn for some reason or whatever. Then we have, I like variety, and I prefer to, if I had an option between running 4 of 1 card or 4 different cards, I would pick the 4 different cards because variety is the spice of life. Alright, then we have Path to Exile. I'm not going to say anything about this card. If you watched any modern deck ever, you just know if you run white, you run Path to Exile. There's like no question, so. Sorry guys, I thought my parents were calling me and they're not, so. Okay, every single time I build any sort of modern deck that has blue, I always run this card, and people yell at me and tell me I shouldn't, but I love it too much. That is a 1 of a Quicken. I swear, like, I can't not run this card. I need this card in every single deck because, like, I swear, there's nothing better than just quickening Lingering Souls or quickening Serum Visions when you desperately need something. I mean, quickening, like, Inquisition or Thoughtseize isn't terrible. It's probably not super ideal, but hey, if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. You also just draw a card off of it, and it's just really good, and I really like it. Alright, so then we have 3 of Thought Scour, and again, this is a card that I totally forgot about. It's so good. I absolutely love this card. Really love it. It does say target player as well, so one of my favorite things to do is if, like, your opponent Serum Visions, you Thought Scour them, which is really good. Really good for Tasigur and Gurmag Angler, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Want cards in your graveyard, and just drawing a card for 1 mana is, like, really good, so. You can always just get those cards back, or with Snapcaster Mage too. This card with Snapcaster Mage is like stupid. Yeah, the card's great. Okay, then, so I have 11 instants. I don't know if I said that, but I have 11 instants. Okay, now we're going to talk about creatures. I have 9 in this build. Sorry, this Facebook messaging is, like, keep blinking and it drives me nuts. Okay, 9 creatures. I run 1 of Gurmag Angler, and, you know, I really like this card. I do. Played with Gurmag Angler in the past. It's really sweet. Nothing's better than getting like a turn like 3 Gurmag Angler and you're like, I casually have like a 5/5. In my opinion, I don't really love this card enough to run like multiple of this card. I think 1 or 2 if you need is fine. It's definitely a really aggressive sort of card. It's really good early on. Like if you kill all their stuff early game with like Fatal Push and like Condemn and Path to Exile, then you just casually have a 5/5. You swing at them for like 2-3 times, they're just dead straight up. Like if you manage to just control the board enough, you can totally do that, which is sweet. As I said before, with Thought Scour is really important. If you're running Gurmag Angler, you really need Thought Scour in there just to get those extra cards to feed them into your graveyard. Fetchlands are also going to do that in the deck. And then just, you know, casting like your instant sorceries are just going to go whatever. Okay, then we have one of Restoration Angel, and I swear this wasn't in my original build, and I was like, how could I actually forget about this card? Because I love Restoration Angel. Really good in a pinch, really good if you just need to blink a creature that your opponent is trying to kill. They're trying to path it, they're trying to kill it, you're just like resto it. It's a 3/4 flyer, it's a super aggressive creature. I love this card. This in Quicken, like every blue-white deck, it's just gonna go in there. I love Restoration Angel. If I'm building a white deck, you're gonna see me run one of. It's just amazing. You have that flicker ability, and then you're left with a 3/4 flyer. Like, it's broken. Card's great. Okay, 4 of Snapcaster Mage. I'm not really gonna say anything about this card. You run this card. You need 4 of it. Like, there's some things you can finick around with, and there's some things you can play around with, and you can't get around Snapcaster Mage. You need this guy. I mean, the fact that it brings something back, which is great. One of my favorite things to do, actually, is just Snapcaster Quicken and then cast a sorcery, like, from my graveyard. That's, like, one of my favorite things to do, because, like, it's just, like, you cast 3 cards total, and then you draw a card, and then potentially you get like an instant from it, then you get to cast like 4 cards in one turn on their turn. It's like sweet. So yeah, Snapcaster Mage is great. And it's also a 2/1. Don't forget about it. You can block with it, you can attack with it. People like always forget that you can actually like do that with Snapcaster Mage, especially if you're on a control strategy. But also keep in mind that you're playing an aggressive strategy here. You know, this has control elements, definitely. You have removal, you have hand disruption, but don't forget that you're playing a mid-range strategy, and you can totally go early on with like that Gurmag Angler and just punch him in the face a couple times. Card's good. Okay, then we have 2 of Tasigur the Golden Fang. I can't shut up about this card, really. I mean, make me shut up, because I won't. This card is just really good. Also, just really pay attention to the fact that Tasigur is... you can't cast in that second part. You don't have green, so just keep in mind that you do need double blue for that. Very important with your mana base when you're crafting it. Don't forget to count those. It's something that I think a lot of people can like slip through the cracks. They like miscount their black symbols. Don't do that. Tasigur kind of works better in like sort of Sultai builds, but don't underestimate that. He's amazing. Bringing back cards from your graveyard. And just having a 4/5, like turn 2 Tasigurs is just some of the best things you can do. You know, like you turn 1 like Serum Visions, you know, you turn 1 like Fetchland Serum Visions, that's 2 cards, and then you Thought Scour, which is 4 cards, and then, yeah, that's 4 cards, then you play a land, and then you turn 2 Tasigur. Like, it's really, really good. There's also another way probably to like, you could probably do 2 Thought Scours. You could do like Fetchland, Thought Scour, Tasigur. I mean, like the likelihood of that to happen is very slim, but of getting 2 Thought Scours, but Tasigur is just, you have to run him. He's just amazing. I did like a whole card focus on him if you like want to check that out. Okay, another card that I have, and I've never played with this card, but I know it's really good and it's really aggressive, and I was like, let me throw it in here. It's Vendilion Clique. I just really like information. You know something, I really like information. I like knowing what's going on in my opponent's hand. And, you know, yeah, I have 3 Inquisitions, and yeah, I have 3 Thoughtseizes, but we've got that stapled onto a creature, basically. Or you can just have access to information. You don't even have to make them pitch a card. You can just say, alright, cool, you keep it, whatever, and then just have like a 3/1 flyer. Really great blocker, but again, really great attacker. Love the evasion, how it's got flying. It's got like a sweet evasion, man. Like you got Vendilion Clique, you've got which has flying, and then you have Lingering Souls, which have flying, and then you have Creeping Tarpets, unblockable. Super fantastic evasion in this deck. A huge fan of that. I think this deck does that really well. I'm really excited about that, so that's sweet. Okay, cool. Then we have 3 Planeswalkers, and guys, I can't believe I'm telling you that I'm not running Elspeth Sun's Champion in this deck, which if you know me, I love Elspeth Sun's Champion. I'm running a different Elspeth though. I'm running Elspeth Knight Errant. I really love this card. I think she works better in this deck, and the reason why I don't have Elspeth Sun's Champion is because Elspeth Sun's Champion is 6 mana. The highest I go in this is actually 7 for Gurmag, but you never cast Gurmag for 7. I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes in the mid-range games you do. But basically, it was a little bit too high mana cost. I think it was stretching it a little bit. So I was like, you know what? Let me try Elspeth Knight Errant. If you don't like it in this build, totally substitute it for Sun's Champion if you want to. Do Gideon. I mean, you can play her with the Planeswalkers, honestly, which I think is really sweet. She's really good, you know, she gives you dudes, and then not only that, but she's got, like, her second ability, you know, giving, like, your Gurmag Angler. Guys, like, if you give your Gurmag Angler, like, the second +1 ability, your Gurmag is, like, an 8/8 flyer. Like, that's really fantastic. Like, don't underestimate that. Oh my god, Gurmag. The more, like, I'm talking about him, I'm like, all these synergies with Gurmag, like, this is so sweet. And I know I only have him as a 1-of, but I don't know, he's a 1-of to me. I can't. Then that emblem, I mean, let's be real here. If you get the emblem off, sweet. If you don't, I mean, having indestructible is, like, lit. Like, that's awesome. But you know what? I mean, really, those other possibilities, you know, making dudes to block, protect Elsbeth, protect your other Planeswalker, which we'll talk about in a second, or just giving something +3/+3 and flying, like, so fantastic. Okay. And guys, I really, the thing that's so fantastic about Modern is that you have so much access to Planeswalkers, and I love that, and I love getting juicy, and I love getting creative. And I really originally started off with Liliana of the Veil, transitioned, and now I'm doing 2 of Liliana the Last Hope, and really think I like her a lot. You know, her +1, you know, you can potentially kill something or just stop something from doing a little bit of damage until your next turn. The -2, hold up, I remember this ability, but my thing is, like, really tiny. But the top 2 cards in your graveyard, you return a creature from your graveyard to your hand. Really like this ability. I think Liliana of the Last Hope, in my opinion, works a little bit better with more creature-heavy decks. And that's why I think 9 is a pretty good number. You can totally run more if you want to, but let's be real here. Liliana, getting back your Snapcaster Mage is really fantastic. Like, any of these creatures, like, you're gonna want to have back. Like, it's, you know, you're gonna want to have, like, Vendilion Clique or Restoration Angel. But also, I would just keep something in mind that if you do want to run more Vendilion Cliques, that with Liliana is not good, because say you have, like, 1 Vendilion Clique on the battlefield and 1 in the graveyard. If you Liliana, well, oh no, Liliana is choose, right? Then you may. Okay, yeah, well, just saying, say that's your only creature in the graveyard, not really a good thing. That's why I only like 1 of a Vendilion Clique. I also just like 1 of that card in general. I feel like it just fits with the nature of it. Sorry, I'm, like, talking really fast. I'm almost done, actually, though. And then the emblem, I mean, let's be real here, you're probably really not concerning yourself with that emblem too much. Though it is zombie, and Gurmag Angler is a zombie. That's kind of cool. Beginning your rev cake, you know, so yeah, I mean, listen, wow, more and more, I'm like, maybe I should totally run 2 Gurmag Anglers. I don't know where there's room, I don't know what I would take out, but, you need those Thought Scars. People are gonna tell me to take out Quicken. Maybe Condemn. I don't really know. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, Liliana's, like, really freaking sweet. Alright, yeah, and I said I'm running 2 of that. Okay, guys. Then we have the sideboard, and I say this with every video, but I'm just gonna say this, that I make this sideboard up, and, you know, that and, like, you can just kind of take or leave the sideboard. Like, I make it because I want to have a functional sideboard to say, hey, these are cards you can run. And as I said this, I will say it again and again and again, sideboards should always be changing. You know, your sideboard should not look like this. It should be, because it depends on where you're going. You can take inspiration from this, absolutely. Take a look at cards. Another thing I'll say about sideboards is you want variety. I hate sideboards that are like 4 of 4 of 4. I hate those. I never play with those. I always, always, always have a variety in my sideboard. I have so many 1-ofs in here, like, seriously. I don't know, do I want to go through this? I have 5 minutes. Let me go through it really quick. 1-of Celestial Purge. Love this card. Fantastic against Jund matchups. Can't tell you. It's exile. Super great. A lot of people don't know about this card. A lot of people don't like this card. I love it. If I run white, I run this card on my sideboard. Just hands down. Again, but it depends on where I'm going, depends on who I'm playing against, whatever. But for the most part, I really love this card. 1-of Collective Brutality. I feel like this could totally take or leave it. You can totally mean more of this if you want to. I think this one's better in more like Liliana of the Veil builds. I think that works really well with, like, discarding and stuff like that. This card's fantastic, though. I had it in my Abzan build, and oh my god, it's just stupid. Like, card's so fantastic. Then I have some counter spells in here. I've got a Dispel. I do like Dispel. It's very specific, but it's also 1 mana. You definitely have more control in your sideboard. Your sideboard is based on control, whereas the main board is more about mid-range, I would say. 2 of Negate. I really like this card. You have so much ways of removing, like, creatures and other cards, so Negate's kind of like the middle ground, really good against, like, Tron matchups and things like that, which you have a really hard time with. I love this card, Nihil Spellbomb. I'm a huge fan of this. Some people say Rest in Peace. I say you have way too much graveyard interaction. You do not want to be running in Rest in Peace. If I see a build like this and it runs Rest in Peace, I'm sorry, you're just doing it wrong. You can't afford to run a card like Rest in Peace. You have too much graveyard recursion. You cannot take out enough of it to substitute for those Rest in Peace to stop your opponent. You gotta run a card like this or Relic of Progenitus. It's just very essential. I really like this one because it's target player's graveyard, so you can just get rid of theirs. And if you pay with black, which you should be able to afford, you get to draw a card, which is awesome. So I love this card. Super underrated in my opinion. One of Pithing Needle. Love this card. Huge, huge fan. I basically run all of my sideboards and I have this card in there because I just think it's very strong and it stops Planeswalkers, stops a lot of different cards. Are good against like so many different matchups. Like if you don't know what to bring in a matchup, just bring in Pithing Needle because it's probably going to be good against something. I run one of Slaughter Pact. I kind of forgot about this card. I really like it. I think some people are really scared personally to run packs because they think they're going to forget their trigger. Just put a freaking dice on top of your deck. I just talked about this in another video. Like, just don't forget your triggers because it's really easy to. I really like this card though. I'm a huge fan of packs. I just like them in general. Okay, 2 of Stony Silence. Really important against the Affinity matchup. You just need to be doing things. This is a card too. I really, every white opportunity I have, like I'm running white, I run Stony Silence because I think it's very strong. I got 2 of Supreme Verdict in here. Really good against other matchups, you know, where you can take in more of your control and take out less of, you know, you take out more of your creatures to run in more Supreme Verdicts. My favorite personally is Quicken Supreme Verdict. If you haven't done it, check it out. It's really good. Then I have one of Surgical Extraction, another card I absolutely love. This card totally jumped in price. It used to be like $3, now it's like $20. Really, really important card. I think it belongs in many sideboards depending on where you're going. Very good. Also, don't get fooled. Yeah, it has black, but you can just pay 2 life. Like, literally you can run it in any colors. It doesn't matter. I threw in a Timely Reinforcements. I really like Timely Reinforcements. I actually forgot this card existed. I was looking at other sideboards that I've done, and I kind of threw this mishmash together, and I was like, Timely Reinforcements is a really sweet card. Really good when you put in more of your control cards and you take out like some more of your creatures, and you just throw this card in there to get dudes and potentially gain life. Really good. The last card I run, and I really love this card, and a lot of people think that it is a total dud and should not belong in decks, but I love it in the sideboard, and that's Zealous Persecution. Ran this card when I ran Black White Tokens. It's totally a game over for a lot of people. If they're playing Affinity, this card totally hoses them because you kill so many things of theirs. You know, you kill all their 1/1s. All their 1/1s just straight up die, and your team gets +1/+1. So it's really good. It's really good at killing their stuff and buffing your stuff. It's really great when that happens in the same turn too, where you can do it on your turn and then kill their things and then proceed to swing and have, you know, all your stuff gets +1/+1, and that Gurmag Angler is suddenly, you know, casually a 6/6, then you have Elsbeth, and your Gurmag Angler is casually an 11/11 with flying, guys. It's lit. It's really freaking sweet. So, yeah, guys, that was it. That was it for another mock deck tech. I'd really like to know what you guys think. I just think outside the juice box. It's what I do. This is how I make decks. So, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later.